Welcome back to Let's Talk Tuesday. This is the podcast where we have real conversations about learning, leadership, and what it truly takes to help people and organizations grow. Each week, we bring together different perspectives, experiences, and voices to explore what learning development really means, why it matters, and how we can do it better. Today, we have a very special guest, Lori Saitz from Charlotte, North Carolina, who has over 25 years of experience in marketing, corporate communications, and broadcasting. Welcome, Lori.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you. Tell us a bit about your background and what your current focus is today.
Yeah, my background is in broadcasting and marketing. I actually started college as a broadcast major. And after 2 years, somebody who was in the industry said something to me that was their truth, but not my truth, not necessarily my truth, but I took it as my truth and I changed my major. And so I ended up graduating with a degree in public communications, which is more like PR. And
Mm-hmm.
then I went into marketing and spent most of my corporate time in marketing, corporate communications. And then once I left there, I went actually back into broadcasting a little bit, doing some on-air radio stuff in South Florida.
Oh my goodness, I love that. And oh, I don't love that somebody took you off track, but I love that you eventually found your way back to your
Yeah.
true love, your true passion. And it's funny because so for me, I always wanted to be a teacher. Like when I was young, I thought I'd be a teacher, and I actually started my undergrad in early childhood development, education, early childhood education in the elementary schools. And I realized, like, and everyone who's listened knows, like, I have so much respect for teachers and have so much love for them. But I knew very, very quickly that I was like, I am too type A,
Yeah.
and I wanted more. And so I fell into corporate. I finished up in psychology and business, fell into corporate America, and then it's so funny because I full circle came back to adult learning and development. So kind of in a different way, but similar to
Yeah.
you in the sense that like what's meant to be will eventually find its way back to us. Of like the passion is there of for you, the broadcasting, and what is it? What is that passion that drew you back in?
It's really about holding space for people to tell their stories. That's what has always attracted me. Like when I was studying broadcast, even in the beginning, I was like, okay, I know most people start out and they're like on the street interviewing people like, your house just burned down. How do you feel? And I thought that was the most ridiculous. Like, I didn't
Yeah,
want to do that part. I
right.
just wanted to get to the good part, like the part
Mhm.
like that Katie Couric had, sitting on the Today Show and interviewing all these really cool people. That's what I wanted to do all the time. That was the part. And so holding that space for people to tell their stories, because everybody has one and everybody wants to be able to tell it, but there's not always a safe place to do that or a place where they feel safe doing that.
I love that. That makes so much sense. And again, kindred spirits, because for you it's holding space, and I love that. That's a very strong, powerful phrase. And for my world of training and development, a lot of times it's like meeting people where they are, and I feel like they're very aligned. Like
Mhm.
because in order to hold that space to hear people's stories, I think you have to have that sense of curiosity and that openness.
Yes.
What does learning and development mean in your world?
I mean, in my world, I'm working more as a consultant. So learning and development to me is personal growth, personal development. But I know, I mean, even if you're learning stuff that's related to your job, it's all about personal growth. And I think learning and development is a never ending thing. Even after people like quote unquote retire, like if you stop learning, you stop growing and you stop essentially living. I can't imagine being somebody who retires and then just like what sits at the pool all day and does nothing. I feel like I'll be learning for the rest of my life. And I look forward to it.
I love that. And it's so true. So I have to tell you this, so because you love to hear people's stories. I've never spoken about this before, but my grandfather used to attend college courses like current events when he
Hmm.
was 90 years old, literally. And
Yeah.
the only reason he stopped attending when he was 92, COVID hit. And so obviously he was a high risk group,
Mm-hmm.
and he and the college is shut down anyways and all that jazz. But the deterioration of him, and I know people listening are like, he was 92. It's like, no, he played golf, he went to the
Hmm.
gym 5 days a week, he went to college campuses and continued his, not he wasn't pursuing a degree, but he was just taking current events and taking classes to stimulate his brain. And I'm telling you that he completely, and many people did, but deteriorated once he stopped doing that. So you're so right that once you stop learning, you're done, right?
Yeah, yeah. There are some crazy statistics, and I can't recall what they are now, but it's like it's shocking the number of people who never open a book after they finish like high school or college. I'm like, what do you mean you never? What?
It's wild. And a lot of people have that journey, right? Because we talk a lot about like schools beat creativity out of kids and like, oh, I have
Hmm.
to do it. And it changes reading from wanting to do it to having to do it. And I get that. And even after undergrad, I didn't read for a very long time. And I will say that even recently my life is so insane that I don't get the pleasure currently of like sitting down with a book, but I
Hmm.
definitely listen to books and I definitely listen to podcasts like this to continue my learning and my thinking journey.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say we have so many more options now that learning doesn't just come from books. It comes from audio or video or so many different ways to consume it that it's insane that somebody would not take the opportunity.
Right, absolutely. You touched on this a little bit, but why is learning development so important, especially in today's world?
Because everything changes so quickly. And even if our brains are not really wired to absorb that much information at the speed that it comes at us, even if you slow it down a little bit, like it's necessary for brain health, physical health, like every part of your emotional, psychological, mental, all the healths, learning and development is crucial for that. And there's science and research behind that too. It's not just you and me saying, I think people should learn stuff.
Right. Right, it energizes them. I mean, I gave a very specific example of my grandfather of like him completely falling apart and he was 92 years old once he stopped doing those things. But it is, you're right. There are scientific studies behind this, not at 92, at 42, at
Hmm.
when people are not learning, you know, it depends on, it doesn't even matter the subject really. It just is the act of continuing to progress and use your brain. And I think in today's world, especially where so much I might get some slack for this, but life is a lot easier now, right? So
Hmm.
people can coast, they can technically get away with it. But I would say that those people, like, they just not fall apart, but like when you're in a conversation with them, what are they talking about? Like, what are
Yeah.
they, right? It's
Right,
like,
right. There, it's just not interesting. Well, the other thing that just popped into my head too is like animal enrichment. We want to talk about like other animals that are not humans, the ones in zoos, but even in the wild, like there's a reason animals do stuff. They play because it's enriching their brains. They don't, in animals that are in zoos that don't have animal enrichment, which would be a horrible zoo, but they get depressed.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And we're
it's
living in a
something.
time where there's, I don't know, epidemic loneliness and epidemic depression. And I believe that one of the remedies for that is to become part of a community and to
Mhm.
get involved. And when you are part of a community, then you are inevitably learning stuff from other people in that community.
I love that. And it's funny, I just spoke to a guy yesterday actually, and he was telling me, I'm thinking about taking this college course. And I said, okay, well, how's that going to help you accomplish your goals? And like, what's your larger aspiration? Because that way we can get to the clear focus of what's going to get you the best results the fastest. And he's like, well, it's more just I want to be around interesting people. And I think that topic's interesting, but it's really, I just want to meet the people in the class. And I was like, well,
Hmm.
that's really cool, but there's probably a different like a community of people like that like that you could get together with that network. But I love that he's like, oh, let me take this class because I want to meet the other people taking this class too. And
Yeah.
it's so fun to see the connections that come from that. And we talk about it like corporate America of like being in the trenches, like when you go through something, whether it's a learning experience or like a rough situation, it bonds you. It does. It bonds you to
Hmm.
other
Yep.
people.
Yeah,
It forges
absolutely.
stronger
And
relationships. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. And when you talk about being in corporate too, a lot of times, in my experience, people who are in corporate don't have a very big network outside of their immediate department. Like they know the people that they work with right in their little department, and they don't know anybody else in the company. They don't know anybody outside the company. And when companies let people go, which they commonly do these days, they're lost.
Yeah.
What do I do? How do I find a job? How do I even make human connections? And I think that's why it's, again, so important to have those connections outside, through learning, through whatever, networking.
It's so important. And so you're right. There's an epidemic where it's easier to connect with people than ever before. However,
Hmm.
there's so much disconnection because it's technology based versus, human to human.
Exactly.
What do you wish companies knew or did differently as it relates to learning and development?
One, investing in it.
Hmm. For sure.
Seeing the
Step
importance
one.
of it
Yes.
and seeing it as an integral part of the job. Because there was a time a few years ago when I was teaching uh, tools and techniques for managing focus and stress and staying calm no matter what's going on around you. And a lot of the companies I talked to acknowledged that their people needed that skill or that information, but they didn't have the time. They're too busy working. I'm like, okay, but if you don't take the time, they're going to burn out. They're not going to be as productive as they could be. So it's like that whole story about taking the time to sharpen the saw. It
Hmm.
helps you cut down the tree faster
Right.
with a sharp axe or a sharp saw.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And I think it's that strategy piece that's missing, right? It's strategic to think through, okay, I need to take Lori out right now. I know I'm going to miss her today, but
Mhm.
by taking her out and giving her that space, she's going to come back. She's going to make her whole team better. She's going to make her whole department better because she's going to be able to apply this thing and elevate everybody else around her. And I
Yeah.
think that's what's missing is that very clear the strategic alignment between the individual people and the company, the organization's missions. How does this play into that?
Yep. Yeah. I think that's a big piece. What you just said is a big piece within all size companies
Yes.
is people not understanding or not feeling connected to the mission, which is why I do the work that I do is it's about helping people again feel connected, heard, supported.
Yeah, and articulating that clear vision, that's the most important part. I mean, I'm saying this to you, but we all know that that's the piece that's typically missing is leaders come and say, "Hey, we're going to do this change. Let's flip on a light switch." And it's like, "No. That's not how it works. That's not how humans
Right.
work." Oh, good times. All right. Well, we've covered a lot of ground here today. What's one actionable tip or takeaway that people can apply today in their world to make their tomorrow better?
All right, this is going to sound unrelated to what we've already talked about. However, it really is related because my whole jam forever has been gratitude. Like
Mm.
I love talking about gratitude, the importance of it, that how it affects business and productivity and all that stuff. So, I feel like the more people who can find gratitude in their life, in their day, the better the world is. So, here's the exercise. All right, Amanda, did something happen today or in the past few days that you were just like, "God, I can't believe this is happening."
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Today I had one of those moments and I took a deep breath and I was like, okay.
What happened? Do you want to share?
Sure. I have small children and I do not have childcare this week, but I am still working this week. And so I had to rely on a TV babysitter, which is not ideal. And I typically am not one of those parents. No judgment if you are, but I am typically not. And so, the kids were melting down. I'm like, I have one more meeting. Sorry, guys. Just hang in there. One more meeting. Here's some marshmallows. Here's the TV. And we'll survive this later.
Right, right, right. Okay. So let's take that experience of like, I don't have childcare this week. It's frustrating because I have work I need to get done, but I'm grateful for what?
I'm grateful that they're actually allowing the TV to babysit them because they're
Okay.
very small. So that doesn't normally, but no, but in reality, people have it way harder than me. And I'm so grateful that I am able to work from home and that I'm not missing a paycheck because I don't have childcare. There's a lot of real things to be very grateful of my scenario. My children are healthy. I have
Yeah.
lots to be grateful for.
So that's the exercise. It's finding something that's frustrating you or pissing you off and and saying, and we're not dismissing that that thing is happening. It's just where is the gratitude within it. But I'm grateful for, and it doesn't even have to be within the same thing. Like it could be like, I'm frustrated I don't have childcare, but I'm grateful it's there's a blue sky outside and it's not raining. Or whatever it is, just finding some shred of gratitude somewhere, because what it does is rewires your brain so that you become more naturally grateful.
I
And
love
every
that.
time you say you find something that's, somebody cuts you off in traffic, but I'm grateful, I'm on my way to an awesome lunch meeting or something, like whatever it is, but I'm grateful for.
Yeah. And in my world we kind of call it reframing a bit, but
Hmm.
I do love gratitude and I am so grateful to have you on this episode and the fact that you were able to make it into our schedule. So thank you for that. And I feel strongly that you're right. People don't think of how is gratitude related, but you see the world through your own lens. So if you
Hmm.
are looking for reasons to be grateful and to find gratitude, you will find those. If you're looking for things to be frustrated about, you will absolutely find those. And so you are the person going through your world. And so
Hmm.
gratitude absolutely permeates every aspect of it. So it makes complete sense to me that that would shape you and your entire day, right? And everyone you
Yeah,
deal with
yeah.
after.
And we can, I mean, we don't have time, but we could get into the research and science behind how being grateful makes you more creative, more innovative, more productive, and makes companies more profitable. So,
And more resourceful, right? And
yes.
that's part of the creativity part of it too.
Yep.
It's like, thinking through that exercise alone is finding the creativity, but it's also thinking of additional resources at your disposal that you could tap in.
Hmm.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. This was so fun.
My joy. Thank you for having me.
And with that, we'll begin to wrap up. So I hope this discussion gave our audience a few new perspectives, sparked some ideas, and left you with at least one takeaway you can put into action immediately. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and join us every Tuesday as we continue exploring learning, leadership, and what it takes to help people and organizations grow. And if today's conversation resonated with you, or if you'd like to join me for a future episode, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and let's talk again on Tuesday. Thanks, everyone.